Good reasons for you to subscribe to the channel right now, because there are a number of devices going through our review process. That includes the Acer Aspire Switch 11V, which is a low-cost 2-in-1. I've had hands-on with that at IFA. Very interesting device, Core M based. The Lenovo Flex Pro 15, which I've got the Core i7 version with the NVIDIA discrete GPU upstairs right now. I'm preparing that for a video. HP 350 G2, which is a classic laptop, all-rounder. The Dell Latitude 15-3000 is a more small business-focused laptop. We've also got the ThinkPad Tablet 10 coming in as well. So subscribe and you'll get notifications when those summer review videos go up, when our tech review video goes up. But right now in this video, we've got the Samsung Galaxy Tab S2 in 8.0 and 9.7-inch versions for you. Now we're going to show you the Samsung Galaxy S2 8-inch and 9.7 side by side, because the specs are very much the same. It's one thing, actually maybe two things I want to point out on the two devices that are different, but basically you've got Samsung Exynos 5344 octa-core. Everything's got to be octa-core these days, running at 1.9 gigahertz. We've got 3 gigs of RAM inside both these as well. It's the same screen resolution, which is a 2048 by 1536 pixel Super AMOLED. So you've actually got incredibly black blacks, in fact infinitely black blacks, meaning the contrast ratio is excellent on these, and that's the same on both devices there. We've got the LTE versions here, but the Wi-Fi supports AC, and we've also got, and I just want to demonstrate that right now, fingerprint unlock. You don't need to swipe anymore. You can just fingerprint press on the buttons there to get access to the devices. We'll take the 8-inch one here and give you a quick look round. Very simply, power, volume. We've got micro SD and the micro SIM card slot there. The position's the same on both devices. Thank you. Stereo speakers there. Micro SD USB 2 port, which supports MHL video output. USB on the go on that one. There's the headset port there, and there's nothing on the other side. On the back, we've got the two lugs for the book cover, and a slightly protruding 8 megapixel autofocus camera on the back there. Now there's one thing you'll notice on the front of the 8-inch version, and that's this grill here, which is a phone speaker output, right? So you can actually use this on your head as a phone. Both support phone functions, but the 10-inch version, for fairly obvious reasons, doesn't have that earpiece there. Now also they support of course loudspeaker mode, and you can connect a headset as well, so that's actually quite a nice function to have telephone capability. Obviously the LTE, 3G and 4G capability can be used as a hotspot as well. 15.4 watt battery, no 50.2 watt battery in this one, and in the larger 9.7-inch version we've got a 22.3 watt hour battery, but we'll give you the battery life figures at the end of this video. Both of these are incredibly thin, and although that's a plastic rubberized back cover, it's very grippy, and I think some will prefer that to maybe a colder metallic rear. There's a metal case rim, and it's extremely thin. Just looking over for the thickness figure, it is 0.22 inches thick, 5.6 millimeters. And that's the same on both of them there, 5.6 millimeter thickness, which is really quite nice. The 8-inch, obviously really nice to handhold in portrait mode. There's a haptic feedback on the keyboard as well, and let me just get back to show you the keyboard. And this is a keyboard test. It's a nice accurate haptic feedback as well, although it's a little bit difficult to do this on the camera. This is I think personally that this is a very nice keyboard and instant haptic feedback on that. Our test results said the same. The reviewer, which is Sasha Molk on this Andreas Kilian on this review, also mentioned that the on-screen keyboard was pretty good. So you've also got split screen mode for some supported apps. That works in portrait and in landscape mode as well. There are a few apps pre-installed here. These can be removed, and there's an example there. But on the Microsoft apps that are pre-installed, you can't uninstall those. You can just disable them, not uninstall them. In terms of connectivity, it's a really good story here. We've got AC Wi-Fi support on dual bands, so that's up to, it's going to give you up to 780 megabit theoretical of 866 megabits per second connectivity. Bluetooth 4 with low power and ANT Plus support. We've got LTE up to Cat 6, and all the usual European bands for 4G and 3G are supported there. There's no NFC on here, but there's a GPS and GLONASS support for location, which it didn't really get up to the performance of our reference device, but in general was pretty good. The Garmin Edge 500 is obviously a little bit better than this one, as you can see in that image there. So the camera on this, an 8 megapixel f1.8 camera here, which is a really wide aperture camera. It's pretty good. The video capabilities go up to QHD, well, 2K video anyway. In full HD you can take snapshots at the same time as videoing, and the macro mode we found on this also pretty good. So let's give you some information about the screens. They are both the same resolution and pretty much the same in terms of specifications. So you've got 2048 by 1536 pixels, which is 264 ppi on the 10-inch version. On the 8-inch version, that is a ppi of 320 ppi. It's not as high as the previous models, but we've got a 3:4 screen now, which might be more useful for some people. Brightness 347 in the middle on the 8-inch, 358 in the middle on the 10-inch, average of 356 on the 10-inch, and 347 CDM or nits on the 7-inch. So pretty good screen brightness, and for outdoor use, because of the high contrast, that's going to be a very usable display resolution. Color space coverage, very good on both, 95, 98%, so really up in that 100% RGB coverage space almost. Black levels, of course, infinite. This is an AMOLED screen. 5 different modes there. They are changing the color balance on each one. We tested on adaptive display. So on our Antutu benchmark result, we got 50,779 on the 8-inch version, 52,308 on the 9.7-inch version. Both excellent scores, really up there with the high-end stuff, with the Apple iPad Air 2, for example, and the iPad Mini 4 comparable. There are some differences, plus minus 8. Maybe the Air 2 is 20% faster than this, but for most people the difference is going to be minimal. Now the all-important battery runtime for you. Wi-Fi surfing is probably the most important one you want to know about. On the 8-inch version we've got 7 hours and 22 minutes in our test result, 6 hours 33 on the 10-inch version. Obviously the difference there is the battery taken by the screen. Although there's only 1.7 inches in diameter, there's a lot more screen space, and therefore a lot more power needed by the backlighting LEDs to drive that. Big Buck Bunny, 13 hours, very impressive score on the 8-inch Galaxy Tab S2, and we got 10 hours 51, so 11 hours on the 9.7-inch version. So in comparison with, for example, the iPad Air 2, this is better. The iPad Air 2 had 14% less battery life. I'm just looking over to the figures now for the 8-inch version, and the iPad Mini 4 got 18% less battery life on video playback. So these two slightly beating the Apple, the comparable Apple products in terms of battery life for H.264 playback. So one important thing to mention about the temperature, or at least related to the temperature, is that when we did our GFX Bench battery test, which is our load test to determine maximum temperatures, we did see some throttling on the GPU. After 22 iterations on the 10-inch version, we saw 40% throttling of the GPU, but the smaller version, we saw throttling after just 2 iterations of graphics bench test. So for gamers, there's a significant difference here. Although the short-term performance tests are similar, the 10-inch version is going to give you longer-term gaming than the 7-inch version. But both of these, do note, will have throttling if you're doing very heavy 3D gaming or very heavy long-term operations on them. So a rundown of the pros and cons. Both very thin, very light builds with great build quality. We like the fact that there's a micro SD card slot in there. Obviously that's a one-up on the iPad mini, the iPad Air 2, AC Wi-Fi on both bands, and Bluetooth 4.1 along with ANT Plus support. Good fingerprint scanner and precise touchscreen. Video recording in QHD on both of those devices, although note you can't take an image at the same time as recording in QHD. Now the big advantage of the 8-inch version over the 10-inch version is that you can have the telephone function with the holding it against your ear rather than having to use an earpiece. So that's one advantage over the 10-inch on the 8-inch. Smooth functions all the way through and a great display with really good contrast. Only got a micro USB 2 port in this, so not USB-C for easy connections and not USB 3.0 or 3.1 for fast speeds. There's no NFC, there's no IR transmitter, and the GPS on the 8-inch model is not quite as good as the 9.7-inch model. Probably antenna size is the difference there. That's about it for the pros and cons. Now we'll give you the full score now, and you can see that on the screen there. So a comparison and a summary review of the Galaxy Tab S2 8.0 and 9.7-inch versions, both getting good scores of 88 and 89% from us here at notebookcheck.net. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, because we've got, as I said at the top of the video, a number of devices coming through the review process. They're going to land here on the table, and I'll do the video and you'll get notifications. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next Notebook Check Tech Review.